guys, welcome back to day 8 for the 30-day yoga challenge with Do Your Yoga. I'm Erin Motz, and per your request, we're actually working on stuff that will prep you for different back bends for beginners all the way up to more advanced postures. So just increasing flexibility in the spine and getting us ready for some of that back bendy goodness. So we can go ahead and get started. We're going to meet in child's pose today. Alright, so we'll meet in child's pose, feet together, knees nice and wide as usual. You can just walk the hands out, keep the elbows bent if you want, and let the head drop. We're just going to take a couple breaths here, letting the discs in the spine get nice and long and reset. Just start to come into your breath here. And on your next inhale, we're going to crawl the hands over to the left. So just walking, you don't have to go very far, just enough until you feel a stretch in the right side body, and then lay the chest back down. So you're kind of snuggling the left ribs towards the left thigh. You can let the eyes close. On an inhale, walk them the other way. Just walking to the right, same thing, snuggle the ribs towards the right leg. Walk the hands as far out as you can, and then let the chest sink down. On an inhale, come back to the center. And press into the hands, walk them back. You're going to keep the knees where they are, it's fine. The left hand is going to come back just about 5 or 6 inches away from the left foot. Keep both knees equally heavy, and on your inhale, you're going to press the hips up towards the ceiling. You can reach the right arm straight back. Relax the head and the neck. So make sure you're squeezing the sits bones together. Make sure both legs are equally heavy so you're not leaning to one side. On your exhale, sit it down. The right hand is going to come back just a few inches behind the right foot. And on your inhale, press both hips up. Keep both legs equally heavy. Stretch the left arm up and over. And on your exhale, sit it back down. And walk both hands out back to that child's pose. And when you're ready, lean into both hands, tuck the toes under. Sit up and back in a downward dog. You can start to pedal out the legs a few times, just to stretch out the backs of the legs. On your next inhale, shift the weight forward to a plank. You can drop the knees down if you'd like to. So if it's a little bit much to stay lifted, you can keep the knees down. As you exhale, lower right down between the elbows, stopping halfway. And then lay the chest down. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, come up to cobra. So if you straighten the arms a little bit more, you don't have to, but if that's something that feels good, you can. And then if you want, you can just kind of move around. So maybe looking over the left shoulder, shifting the hips right. Maybe shift the hips left, look over the right shoulder. And if that feels okay, you can do that a couple more times. Just rolling around. Maybe one more each way. I like this one. Good. And come back to the center. Lay the chest down. Tuck the toes. Sit back in child's pose. So sit it back. Knees are wide. Feet are together. And on your inhale, sit up. The knees are going to stay exactly where they are. The left hand will come back just about 5 or 6 inches behind the left foot. Inhale, lift both hips evenly. Keep both legs heavy. Stretch the right arm back. Just relax the elbow, relax the shoulder. And on an exhale, sit back down. The right hand lands down behind you. Inhale, lift both hips up. Drop the left arm back. Exhale, sit it down. One more time. Take the arms out, find child's pose, relax the head down. And on an inhale, tuck the toes, sit up and back, downward dog. On an in-breath, shift the weight forward. Exhale, slowly lower, all the way down to the chest. Roll the shoulders back, lift up. Maybe turn over the left shoulder. Maybe turn over the right. Try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. So think of having a really long neck, a really long back. Lay the chest back down. Sit back in child's pose. Heels together, knees wide. And when you're ready, shift forward. I'm going to have you flip over onto your backs. But before we do that, we're going to come into some deeper options for back bends. And I just want to kind of throw this out there. Back bends are something, one part of yoga that can be pretty intense and a little bit more advanced. So as with anything, I mean, there are always options. So I'm going to give you the full spectrum, or at least a good chunk of the spectrum. But just bear in mind keep in mind what your body is telling you, which is a really corny thing. Yoga people say it a lot. But you will find that once you start doing something, you start venturing down that road, you get to a point where you're like, okay, and you know that that's where it feels good and that's where you should stop. But then maybe you're doing it with a friend and your friend maybe did a little bit more than you, or they went a little bit further than you, and you think, oh, no, I can definitely do that. And then you do it, and then you end up maybe hurting yourself or doing a little bit more than you should have, and it just pushes a little too far. So I really want you to stay away from making that mistake. I want you to do this as safely as possible and as comfortably as possible. So keep that in mind. Listen to your body. Stop where it wants you to stop. That saying, practice and all is coming, definitely applies here. You'll get there. You'll get to the level that you want to be at, but it does take time. So don't push, don't rush. Stop where it feels good, and you'll be golden. So go ahead and come onto your backs. We're just starting a nice, easy, low bridge. So feet are down about hip width apart. You can lay back. So in a low bridge, you want the arms to be down, palms face the floor, and the feet are down, hip width apart, knees are hip width apart. On your inhale, you're going to squeeze the sits bones together and start to lift the hips up. So you're pointing the tailbone right towards the knees, scooping the belly in. So you're shortening the front by engaging the abdominals and lengthening the lower back by tucking the tailbone down. So again, take a couple breaths here, pressing into the hands, pressing into the triceps. Maybe let the eyes close. And start to come into your breath. And as you exhale, slowly start to lower down. 1 inch at a time. We'll do that again. So on an inhale, lift the hips up. 1 inch at a time, lifting the hips towards the ceiling, pulling the ribs off the floor. Press into the triceps, press the hands down into the mat. On your exhale, slowly lower down. We're going to do one more. Make sure that you're really using your glutes in this one. So as you lift up, engage the lower glutes right below the sits bones, that crease between your butt and your thigh. One of my clients, and I know she's watching, so I'm going to give her a little shout out. She called it her second butt. So I thought that was really funny. And everybody gets it. As soon as I say that, they're like, oh, yeah, of course, your second butt. Got it. So that's where you want to be feeling it. So take the pressure out of your lower back. You're using the strength in the lower body to actually get you into that lower bridge. So press into the hands. Take a couple breaths. And on an exhale, slowly lower down. Good. So I'm going to give you 2 more options here. If you want a little bit more, I'm going to have you sit back up. We're going to come to camel. So I'll preview that one real quickly. And really anybody can, if you, whether you're a beginner or more advanced, you can definitely work camel pose. There's a few different options for that one. So to start, I would tuck your toes, bringing them about hip width apart. The hands are going to come to the small of the back like you're putting them in pockets, like in back pockets. So fingers face down. You're going to gently press the hips forward so they line up over the knees. Squeeze those sits bones together. And then start to open the chest. So you're rolling the shoulders back, puffing the sternum up towards the ceiling. Maybe let the head relax. You can stay there as long as you want. Make sure that as far back as you go, you want to be able to come straight back up in one line. So you want to avoid curving to the side and coming up that way. So as far back as you go, you got to be able to come straight back up using that core to pull yourself back up. So we'll try it again. You can tuck the toes if you're a beginner. If you're more advanced and you know what options you can take from here, feel free to do that. Bringing the feet flat is a little bit tougher. So take your option, tucked or feet flat. Press the hips forward, roll the shoulders back, lift the sternum up towards the ceiling, and relax the head down. If you want a little bit more, you can walk the hands down the thighs. Gradually coming back up, sit the hips back, take the knees apart, walk the hands out, child's pose. Take your time to lift back up. If you feel like that's a good place for you to stop, you can definitely keep working camel. So you see how this could be like a slippery slope of, oh no, I can do it, I want to do more, I want to do more, even if it's not quite time yet. I'm about to preview full wheel pose, and that one's a little bit more advanced. So don't feel like you need to go there. Know that you can kind of put that on the back burner for next time if you feel like you're not quite ready. If you are though, you can go ahead and join me on your backs. So you can lay down again. We're all over the place today, I know. So bring your feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. You can lay the head back down. So you're going to prep. I like to prep the same way I would going into that lower bridge. So just with the hands down, you're going to engage the same muscles. So as you start to lift up, squeeze the sits bones together. The hips come up, the ribs come up, and you're bracing yourself with the glutes. So you're not relying on the back. It's actually all in the glutes. A lot of times we get lower back pain because the glutes aren't strong enough. Crazy, I know, but it happens. So remember, that's where your work is. So once you feel like you can continue to roll up, you can take the hands down on either side of the head. So fingers face the shoulders, press firmly into the palms. You're going to press into the heels and maybe come to the top of the head. And if you still feel pretty stable, you can, on an inhale, you can press into the heels, press all the way up. Maybe start to shift your weight forward through the biceps. Remember, strength is still in the glutes, in the legs. When you want to come down, you're going to come down the same way you went up. So from the top of the head, you can roll it down. Bring the knees in towards the chest and take a few breaths here. So anytime you come down from a back bend, a really good idea to either take child's pose or just tuck the knees in because it's pretty intense. So if you feel a little bit on the dizzy side, it is normal. So don't be concerned about that. Maybe rock the knees left and right a few times. Another thing I normally will mention to people, so just a side note for you, once you're done today, make sure you drink a little extra water. Again, going upside down, especially in back bends, can kind of, I've heard people get a little bit dehydrated after that. So make sure you drink plenty of water for the rest of the day. Take a few more breaths where you are. And just to stretch out the back, stack the knees over the hips. Take the arms out to the side. So if you were still working camel, you can go ahead and come down onto your back, knees stack. And when you're ready, let both knees fall to the left. Just a passive stretch, look down the right arm. slowly come back to the center. Exhale, go the other way, so knees drop to the right, all the way down, opening up the left shoulder. And on an inhale, come back to the center. You can hug the knees. Very carefully start to rock up. Just taking a comfortable seat, the top of your mat, or in the center of your mat. Sitting evenly on both hips. Let the shoulders relax back and down. So find some ease in your breath. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. You can bring the palms together and exhale the hands right down to the heart center, sealing in your practice. And let the eyes open. Namaste. Awesome job, you guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Be sure to come back tomorrow. We're going to be working on balance. So mostly standing postures, lots of standing on one leg and all of that fun stuff. So it'll definitely bring some balance to your practice as well as the rest of your life. Get your daily yoga at doyouyoga.com. Be sure to follow me on Facebook. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. As usual, be good, feel good, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.